all you devils out there. Happy Friday. There's my usual intro. Okay, well, we're going to start here on Bitcoin. I've got a weekly chart up here. Now, I seem to be one of the few, well, I shouldn't say, amongst my team of Elliottians, I think I'm the lone bull remaining in the pack. Now, that you know, when I have really, really talented technicians on the other side of a trade or a trend, makes you pause and rethink. Now, I'm not saying they're wrong. I'm right. I'm simply looking at this as objectively as I possibly can. It's what I would hope you would do. Right? It's the point of these videos. I hope we can teach you something, or maybe should give you a few ways to think about how you would approach the market. Now I've got a weekly up here on Bitstamp here. I've gone all the way back to 2011 here. I've got a full history here. Now, a lot of times what I'm doing here with these, and there's some variance between prior counts, right? Counts change. I'm trying to come up with just the most rudimentary count. Right? So what would your eye see? I like to say, if you went to a fifth grader and told them, okay, 5s and 3s. What would they see? How would they describe it? Because we tend to overcomplicate because, we know better. Okay, so if we're looking at this, what's controversial about this count? I think what's controversial about this count is proposing that that's a wave 2. Because certainly looking here at, in log scale, as we are, of course, looking at a weekly chart, that oh, come on, man, no way that's a wave 2. Well, remember, log scale distorts your eye dramatically, right? So, which is why I often tell you got to make a point of looking at it both ways. And it's also worthwhile to look at it here. And again, I know Elliottians, right, almost always are in either log or semi-log here, but you've got to get perspective on both. And I think you do lose some perspective here when you're in log scale. Well, what's our high up here? 69, and what was our retrace here? 15. Take that out of log scale. Let's reset this. Oh, let's see if I can pop that open a little bit. I'll put this back here as a proposed completed impulse here. Not so hard to imagine that as a wave 2, is it? Just something to think about here. And again, I'm not saying that this is the correct count, right? There's no knowing until we complete, right? Now, my view is we are far from topping. Of course, I could be wrong. This is my opinion based on what I'm seeing here, and some historical precedent and a whole lot of. We'll look at a whole lot of cycle and technical indicators that have been consistent with nailing Bitcoin tops here. We'll look at those in a second. But as I look at this here, I mean, this becomes a little bit easier to think, oh, God, that certainly could be a 2. Why couldn't it? A lot of times you bring up a count and you go, well, okay, what's wrong with it? All right, it's only wrong to your eye when you put it in log scale. So then looking at that, say, well, if this is a 2, right? So certainly, right? I think this is pretty reasonable here, and we'll look at this here in more detail as we open this up. 1, 2, 3. This is the next section of this count that is most in dispute. No, it's dispute, maybe the wrong word to say. It's where there's the most difference of opinion as to what that could be. It's certainly, as you're looking at it here, it looks so much like a 4, right? How could that not be the 4? Well, again, we're going to look at that, right? Because that's the more bullish count that would have this as a 1, 2, right? So again, possibly here we've completed, and you can, if I just do it very quickly, you can see 3, 4, put in a 5 here. Okay, now I'm out of log scale. Could that be a 2? Well, it would be shallow, right? No question. Right? Bitcoin is known for problematic. Well, let me rephrase that. For challenging 2s, right? We're going to do let's get the full suite on here. We're going to just do a 38. Well, it's not like that's radically, different for any asset here in a massive trend like this. To put in a wave 2 at the 38, it's not radical. This one's very deep. This would be shallow, right? It would be an alternation here of sorts. So it could possibly, right? But this is a 1, 2, and then yet again, right? You would not anticipate that as the 3. You might anticipate that as a 1, 2, 1, 2. Right? And all of a sudden, right? You're back to the 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. God, there's too many 1, 2s. Is it? right? It's assumptions we make, right? Say, well, that can't be right. It's too many 1-2s. Or it can't be right. That's only a 38, right? Those kind of hard rules, I think you have to be flexible, certainly with something like Bitcoin, right? Because there's never been anything like Bitcoin, right, ever. So while we want to stay consistent with rules and guidelines, right? If we're using Elliott Wave to analyze the market, we want to stay consistent with those rules and guidelines, but we don't want to be so rigid in our adaptation and our implementation of those rules and guidelines that we can't think a little bit outside of the box. So let me pull this back here. Let's go back to log scale and dig in here a little bit deeper. So that's the section we'll look at next, right? So I'm proposing to you, right? This is a count to consider. I'm not saying, again, I'm never here to say my count is the right count. This is a count to consider that we completed the 1 here at 69, and at 15 we put in the 2, which means all of this, right? If we're going to 3, 4, and 5 up here, I know the bull porn here gets pretty obscene, but that would put us at close to 1 million by 2030, which many that specialize in this. That wouldn't be too far off. I think, Tom Lee and some of the other big Bitcoin bulls, only at 1 million at 2030, I think Michael Saylor would say, oh boy, that's disappointing. We shall see, right? Again, I know it's fun to, anticipate that. Okay, are we getting there? Well, I've got a whole lot. I've got several on my team thinking Bitcoin's going down to 15K again, right? That we're headed down to challenge this low. I'm going to take the other side of that bet. But let's get in there a little bit further. I don't want to disparage my guys. It's just we have a difference of opinion here. So as a candidate for a 1-2, well, let's focus now on coming off of that low. Right? And here's where it gets very tricky. This is the 1 and this is the 2. Probably you'd have the most agreement amongst Elliotticians here with this. Now, where's the wild card? Is this 3-4? Yeah. How do you know? Well, you don't know. This certainly has all the character. It looks so much like a 4, right? It's really tempting to put this here and put this here, right? I think that's how we all were looking at it until we had this additional leg here, right? So 1, 2, well, of course it's the 3. Of course. Can't think of it that way. It could be the 3. It also could be a 1-2. Again, that's looks a little bit irregular until you do it this way, right? We put it here. This would be complete the 1. This would be the 2. Again, it's only a 38. Okay, could that be the 3? Well, it's not out of question, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, and we've topped here, so it's certainly possible. Which I think is where, oh god, this is going to be way up here. Some of my guys here, I know this is going to be a little bit distorted here because I'm now at a log scale. If this is 1, 2, 3, and this would be 3, 4, 5, well, then you got to measure and say, okay, does that make sense, right? Because the one thing we do know, third can't be the shortest. So I would look here and say, okay, could that be the 3rd here and this be the 4? Possible, right? Could be 1, 2, 3, 4, and we've topped here and we're starting that correction. Possible. Right, possible. Now you got to think to yourself, what's causing the sell-off here? Is there some security breach? Right? Have they broken the cryptographics of Bitcoin? Are we looking at power disruption, or is this man-made? Right? Is this just is this politicians affecting global liquidity? Do we have a change in potential interest rate cycle here, at least here in the States? What's causing it? Why is crypto falling here so much? Is it a Trump social media post? We have. I got to be careful here. Certainly, I think it would not be unreasonable to say that we have an administration that's very self-interested. We think that this administration is going to let crypto fall to 15,000. How is Barron Trump going to get to be a billionaire by 21 if that happens? Is he going to short world whatever their bullshit coin is? I jest a little bit here, right? And I'm not trying to get my politics involved here, but I think there's very low probability that those that have the capability to influence the market are going to let Bitcoin fall that far. Hang on 1 second. I got to turn I just had to turn my other machine off. Okay. What do you see? What does your eye see, right? Are you seeing 1, 2, right? I think it's the easiest thing to see. I think what most are seeing here is that this is the 3, this is the 4, right? Now we've looked at this, right? That was a count we had earlier before we had this this volatility that we're seeing up here. So where are you putting the 5? Up here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Doesn't quite look right, right? Because we extend beyond that. That doesn't look right. Hang on. Is there an alternate here? How else might I mean, again, I'm kind of doing this with you on the fly, right? Just for the thought process here. Again, I'm out on log scale here. I want to keep some perspective here. 1, 2, 3, 4. Well, that doesn't quite make sense. Now you might think, okay, 1, 1, 2, right? Because certainly isn't that possible? Right? I mean, if Bitcoin's prone to making shallow retracements for a 2, okay. So again, what's wrong with that? Oh, it'd probably be here, right? You probably have to do this as an A, B, C, right? So 1, 2, 1, 2. Candidate, right? I mean, this is probably, again, as I was saying earlier, this is for your eye, right? This is the one that makes the most sense, right? That we complete, right? It has the right look. Again, out of log scale, has the right look, but we've got another leg on this. So there's only so many things to consider. One of the things that I think is the true strength of Elliott Wave, and one of the reasons why I continue to propose to you that it's unmatched in the ability to analyze and predict where the market is going. Not that it's always right, and the market's not obligated to do anything ever, right? It's going to do what it's going to do. It's just, what does it usually do? Well, if we're thinking of this as a completed impulse here, which is very reasonable, there's no reason why you wouldn't think that. Right? Okay, well then, if this is a 1, 2, what are we doing here? Now, let's dig in there a little bit deeper. Let me pull this off. I'm going to pull this back. Now, let's go over here. Let's stay at our last leg here. I'm going to take that off for a second until we get back into log scale. Okay, one possibility here. Again, I'm just kind of working through this without in the kind, much like I do the live streams, right? What's the thought process? Okay, so if this were a 2, well, let's label it. It's for fun, right? 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's get something appropriate here. Let's go to menu. Yellow. Well, okay, let's put it in. What have we not used here? Well, let's go to white. Okay, is that a candidate for a 1, 2? So always the question is, well, why not? Why not? What's wrong with it? This has the right look. See, I mean, it's either it's the 1, 2 is here, or it's here. Right? I mean, there's not a lot of other choices here. Again, with your Elliott Wave hat on, it's either here or it's here. Both are shallow. But again, as I've said many times, right? Bitcoin's known for problematic 2s, right? The atypical, right? That's very deep. That would be very shallow. Now, let me go back to log scale and see what that does to you, how that affects you. Right? If you look at it in log scale, right? Well, now it gets much harder to consider this as a 2. You're like, well, what? That's the 2? You know, this is a handy little tool here. Let me bring this back here on the premise here. I just want it from this. I just want it from this low over. Let's get over here. Okay, that is a beautiful looking impulse, right? I mean, we can all agree that's just pretty fucking sexy, right? I mean, that is. Whoops, I want my alert moving. Oh. Here, we can even use a regression channel, right? Even better. Let's go right up to the high. Oops, I can't do that in log scale. Oh, hang on. I forgot I can't do that in log scale. What I can do, though, is use this one. But I got to change that to the shorter term, right? So we're not doing the full history. And let's get back into log scale. Okay, there we go, right? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I clean that up. Now, so this is really an excellent tool, right? The adaptive trend finder, because it'll let you put a regression channel on in log scale. Okay, right? So who's bearish? Well, let me rephrase that. Why are you? Look where we are here. Higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low, higher high. Why so bearish? Here's another little handy tool. This one is called the Algo Alpha Breakout Finder. So what it's trying to do is identify consolidation and then breakout. It's a very nice visual representation of how the market moves. Right, we go from consolidation, accumulation to expansion, accumulation, expansion, accumulation, expansion, accumulation. Right, it does a very nice job of just visually kind of showing you the market, right? So are we distributing up here? We could be, right? The one thing you'll notice here, this is the first time we're tapping into any of these that we've gone back into the prior channel here. We're just tapping the edge of it here. Does that make you think we've topped? It doesn't make me think so, right? Now, again, the two looks completely out of whack here until you put it in, take it out of log scale. Let me get that off of there now. Now I take it off here. Now, okay, 1, 2. All right, again, shallow. That's not going to be 3. What are the options here? If we look at this with the most conservative, right, pull up a 7th grader. How's he going to look at that, right? Likely, and we looked at here, if I bring in the, here, I just want to focus over here. The Elliott oscillator. We'd have to do it here. 1, 2, 3, 4, right? We've got all sorts of divergence up here at the 5, right? Of the proposed 5. I've got a log scale MACD here as well, which is going to be very similar, right? They're very similar in what they represent. Okay, right? So all sorts of divergence here. Here's the correction. Now, what are we doing here? Well, wouldn't the first thing you'd want to do is just pull from low to high and say, okay, where are the fibs? Okay, we're at another 38. I'm not getting why people are all suddenly so bearish. I know there's a diag in here that's potentially has topped, but if we're looking at here a weekly, as far as I'm concerned, until we break this low here, or 70, 71, what is it, 70, 74, until we break that, we are just in a bull market here. And until that breaks, where we would get a massive change in market structure, you're just getting an opportunity to buy Bitcoin here on a retrace. That's my view, right? That's what I see. Whether the ones here, it doesn't matter to me. We are in my opinion, we are nowhere near the top. This is my view is this is going to be blown out before the end of the year. I mean, what are we at? 95% probability we've got 2 more rate cuts coming before the end of the year. It's just bears are just okay, right? So that's what makes a market. Now let's go from let me get this off of here and let's dig into this count a little bit. Now I've got this with that established here, in my opinion, right? I think nobody be confused about what I think, where I think we're going here. And again, the bull porn here takes us up, to 1 million by 2030, which I think is very reasonable. Again, it's my opinion. Let me go. Where have I got it? Let's go over here. This is looking at this count here with the idea here. This is the most recent count I looked at. Let me get this thing off of here. Oh, adaptive. Where are you? All right. So this is out of log scale, right? So this is with this area here, the proposed, right? It's the most recent count I looked at here. 1, 2. Oh, I should probably take this off here. That'll just make it more complicated. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. WXY into a 2. 1, 2. Right, now this is more bullish than what we were just looking at because it adds in another 1, 2. 1, 2. 1, 2. 1, 2. All right, let's go in over here. Bring this up. I put the God MA on there, which is always just kind of a good reference point. Yes, we broke underneath it. We broke underneath it before. Right? We're underneath it, trying to recover here. Okay, so the premise here with this count here, we've come in, we put in a leading diag, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now, I think probably the most agreed to section of this count amongst Elliottician would be that we've got an A, an expanded B, and we're in the process of putting in an impulse here. Now, you could, if you're an uber bear, you could say, oh, it's 1, 2, and 3, 4, we're going to do that. I'll take the other side of that. Okay, well, so what have we done since this low here? And I'm drawing the volume profile from this low here because I'm over here on Coinbase. From this low to right through the current price action, it sure does look like we're in a range. Does it not? How? What does the data not support that we're in a range? Right here's 70% of the trading right here. We just got down to the lower edge of it, which would statistically, you would look at that and say, oh, buying opportunity. Now, does it look like we could be done here? Well, we're reacting out of an imbalance here. There's the obvious liquidity. Oh, let's see, down here, right? Do we need to come down and sweep that? What do we got here? 98. Well, let's go down to a 4 and see what that looks like here. Looks like this would be the impulsive 3. We did, 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's label it. Oh, 1, 2, 3, 4. There could be a little more in there. Let's take that down a bit. Let's put this in yellow. Okay, all right. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That looks all right. 1, 2, 3. I think we'd all agree there. 3 into the retrace, right to the underside of the God. Right. That's for those that haven't seen it before. It's just the average of the SMA and the EMA, the 200 SMA and EMA, right to the underside of it. Now we're coming down here to the low edge of value. Right. Are we done? There might be another leg in that. Hard to say. You'd want to see some of these imbalances here for value gaps get reclaimed, right, and get on the other side of those. So I'd like to see a 5 come out of here, clear some of this. This would be where I'd start to get more enthusiastic about where we're headed, right? If we can get up here at 116. That's kind of a funky finish here. It looks like you might have this wick is let's get to a line chart here. You could be done, but we need a 5, right? We need something to come out of here that's with displacement, right? We're not getting it, right? What we're running into is the bearish displacement, right? So the market moving too quickly here, leaving that imbalance. The market's coming back to correct that. I need to see, we down here, we need to see something a little more. Okay, can I get a 1, 2, right? It could be a diag, but right now I just got another 3 right into an imbalance, right? Suggesting that there may be another leg down. I don't think there's any rush to do anything. Now, of course, if you're trading with leverage, right, it's a different story, right? One reason I would say certainly with Bitcoin, I would avoid the leverage, right? At least for your long-term holdings, maybe keep a portion of it that you're going to trade with leverage. But I would even that with Bitcoin, right? Why do you want to risk giving your Bitcoin to BlackRock? This could be a diag. It's unclear, right? So until we get a 5 here, I don't think there's any reason to panic. I don't think there's any reason to be buying aggressively unless you're dollar cost averaging. Let's let a 5 establish here and then look for some opportunity on a retrace here. You might have a fair value gap getting established right here. That's on a 60-minute. I really don't like to go below that because then it just gets so squirrely. Could we be done? We could absolutely, positively be done. We could be done. Let's go back to that 4. It's the kind of location here where you'd look back at this if we push higher and go, oh, well, of course, I mean, we're low end of the value area. I mean, of course, right? You would just talk yourself right into that and say, well, I completely understand. Well, the one other thing you might look at here, right? We'd look for some relationship between the proposed A, the expanded B. Where do we go? Second most common. Right, 127, 138, right? We're getting a reaction there. Imbalances down here, likely. Order block there, likely. Oh, this is likely your order block right down here. We got, well, that would be your order block. Let's put them. We got a fair value gap just above it, right? We can put this right here. We have that imbalance that's been tapped. So there's your fair value gap here. Both of those, right? So how do we know, right? That's a fair value gap to pay attention to because it's got an order block underneath it, right? So we get that little kick. Could we be done, right? Again, if we come out of here and we're bullish, next week it's going to be like, whoa, okay, well, that made perfect sense. Now, I'm not saying that the low is in. I don't know that. Nobody knows that. But I'm certainly not thinking we're going to 15K. There's no reason to think that yet. I'm not saying we're not doing that. Nobody knows where it's going. I just think it's too much panic already. I'm seeing why so much panic as to where Bitcoin is going. Again, what is something changed in the macro picture of crypto? Again, I said this last week. As we tokenize everything, and the entire financial system moves to the blockchain, has that changed? Maybe we got pushed back by, I don't know, months. But the longer term transition to, let's just call it a more modern approach to finance, cutting out the bloat and the middlemen, right? Certainly the powers that be that make so much money from keeping things the way they are, right? They have a vested interest in seeing this fail, right? And there's plenty of people hoping that this is it's crazy, but there are plenty of people hoping that Bitcoin just is, it's just the worst thing ever. It's going to collapse. It's going to zero, right? Look at gold. Gold is what matters. Now, certainly, I will say, Bitcoin has not done much as projecting itself and presenting itself as a risk off alternative, right? Gold has taken that role. Bitcoin, it just moves risk on, risk off. Right? We have those kind of liquidations. People are selling Bitcoin because it's liquid. They can get out of it. And that seems to be what has happened here. It's a lot of liquidation here. It's a lot of pain caused there. But if you're not in leverage, I'll tell you what I did through that. Absolutely nothing. Nothing. No need to do anything. Did my portfolio drop in value? Absolutely. Did I panic? No. Am I worried? No. Not sure why so many are so bearish, right? So let me get off of that. I think there's enough to say here in that, I've got candidates here. If there's another sweep down, the obvious low here is sitting right here at 98. If we're going much deeper than that, I would look at it this way. How's Al responding here? Now, remember, Al doesn't care about your Elliott count. It's just going to go dominant to dominant, right? Swing low to swing high. Well, we get down here to 94, 95, right? I'm going to pay attention there. We haven't even done a 50% retracement. Again, it's so much fear. That makes me more bullish, right? The more people get scared, the more bullish I become. Okay, all right. So let me get off of that. I think. One other thing I wanted to show you here. There's two things, right? So this is from one of the guys on my team. We've got the max pain on the options that are expiring on the 31st. Is at 114. Now his premise is that means we're going to go up here for a little retrace and then unload. Could be, right? But this would be where you might see, right, based on where the option market is positioned, where you might see the market heading for that October OpX at 114. That's worth noting. The other thing here is, and again, I showed this to my guys here, there are 30 different market cycle top indicators. I'm over on Coin Market Cap. Their market cycle indicators, they have 30 different, I say 30 different top indicators for Bitcoin. And some of these are alts. Not one of the 30 has been triggered. Not one. Why so bearish? Now, these start getting triggered 1, 2, 3, 4, I'll change my tune. But until right now, there's not one of them. And now, if you're not familiar with some of these, you're going on here to explain what they are, how they're used, how they performed in prior cycles. 0 out of 30 are telling you the top is in. That doesn't mean it's not in. It just means statistically, I think we're okay to remain with a bullish bias. And here's the alternate count. Okay, let me just, there's 30 minutes on it. I should probably keep it. I'll just do the majors today. ETH. Okay, let's look at ETH. I'm over here on, where am I? Okay, this is the aggregator. Oh shit, I can't get volume here. Okay, again, why so bearish? Why so bearish? That's proposed here, right? Potential roadmap here. I feel silly doing this. Right? We could. It looks like we could have to. We might target that A wave here. We're doing this. Do we have the right look? What would the alternate be? This is an ABC, and we're going down to challenge the lows here at 1300. Really? Does that? I'm not understanding why so much bearish sentiment, other than the people that got really hurt on that sell-off. Why would you assume that this trend is not going to continue? I mean, here you can certainly see that as a reasonable target. And if this is a combo, if it's A, B, C into a W, we've done an X and we're going to go A, B, C into a Y, well, that makes perfect sense to me. But I would be anticipating that comes off of it. Again, why would you anticipate otherwise? Well, we've broken the channel. Oh, yeah, we did break the channel. All right, I'll just put a sliding parallel on that again. Until we overlap this one high, you can see I've got an alert sitting there. Until we break that high, yes, bring it down a little bit lower. I'm going to buy the shit out of it. Now, I'm not going to sit here with a limit order. I want to see that next little reaction here. This is where I like to buy. Give me the kick, right? I don't know, if it sweeps to come down here, fine. Come down here. I got a big fair value gap here. Come down here, hit the 50. If I get a little reaction, I'm interested. Look, can I get a fair value gap or order block, something right here? Because I'm anticipating we're going to new all-time highs, right? And I would, end of the year, 6K. Again, why not? What's changed to change the macro background? What's changed? A tweet from Trump, trade war with China. Oh, that my view, that's not going to continue. No, that's just 31 here. I'm going to leave it there. These are the two that matter. Let's let the other alts, where Bitcoin goes, they're all going to go. Let's see how we get through this going into next week. Again, my view is this is a buying opportunity. Look for strategic entries, or if you're dollar cost averaging, you're probably not watching my videos. But these are opportunities, right? The more people are fearful, right? I'm not the first one to say that, right? That's when people are fearful, right? Who steps in? Strong hands, right? People with deep pockets, or people who are buying not on leverage, right? Be careful on the leverage, but I see no reason to turn bearish just yet. That's my opinion. I'm sticking to it until proven otherwise. So with that, I wish you guys a good weekend, and we'll catch you next week.